Today we're going to learn how to make our lobster butternut squash risotto. What you'd like to do is start with a heavy bottom pan. Get your heat on medium high. You want to get that pan a little bit toasty. I start with just a touch of olive oil in the pan, spread it around, and you get your arborio rice. Get it in one nice even layer. You really want to toast this rice a little bit before you get started. What that's going to do is release the natural starch inside of the rice, and it's going to allow you to bind your risotto, give it that nice creamy texture that chef's always looking for. And that's starting to toast up already. You can almost smell it. And as that happens, I'm going to move over and grab some of our brunoise shallot. Brunoise is just a fancy word for a small dice. So we're going to add that. And you're going to hear the liquid from the shallot hit the pan. We call it sweat out the shallots. So what you want to do is just release some of that natural moisture coming out of that small onion. And you'll start to hear the sizzle straight away. So next I'm going to hit it with a little bit of white wine. You can hear how hot the pan is there, yeah? It's very important that you cook that alcohol off. You don't want to ruin your risotto on your third step by not cooking off the alcohol. So once that cooks off, we're going to start feeding it chicken stock. If you're a vegetarian, maybe you want to make a vegetable stock. One of the reasons this dish gives the chef so much trouble is you can't walk away from it. You got to keep the rice moving all the time. You're going to allow the rice to cook out and continue to absorb that moisture in small doses. So you don't want to drown the rice with too much moisture, or else you're just boiling it off. What you want to do is feed it very gently, about 2 ounces every minute or so for the next 20 minutes. So you can see that the rice is starting to blow out a little bit. And now we're going to start to flavor it. So we're going to start with our squash puree. You want to really just give that some time. Incorporate it through the whole rice. So as soon as you get that butternut squash kind of melted out in the pan, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Once the squash is all incorporated into the rice, I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan. That'll not only give it a little burst of flavor, but the fat from the cheese will also help to bind that rice together. So you get a nice creamy product. So the parm, once that starts to melt down, I'm going to take my lobster tail and I'm going to poach it in some beurre monté. And we want to just keep it super gentle on the poach on the tail. It's such a delicate, sweet piece of meat. You don't want to burn it. So it's just going to sit in that butter. And if you time it correctly, this is going to be finished by the time I put my diced squash into the mix. So after I get that Parmesan and the purees in there, I'm going to add a little bit of the knuckle and the claw meat. So what's nice is that you can use the whole lobster that way. You poach off a whole lobster, you take the tail as your showpiece, but you use the claw and the knuckle to help fill out this dish. So I'm going to add the diced squash and fold that in. It only needs time to come up to heat. I'm going to finish with some finely sliced chives. We're going to put it right here in the center of the plate. We're going to finish with our butter poached lobster tail, classic squash accompaniment, some fried sage. And here you have one of the most classic dishes in Hell's Kitchen, our lobster butternut squash risotto.
Delicious.